Hello, everyone. This is Lisa from World Wheelchair Warriors. So, welcome to all of you. I'm not doing the greatest, so I'm just going to film from my chair. So, I'm hoping the volume is fine. I didn't plug in my microphone because I think my phone picks up sound very well. And the last time with the other microphone, it sounded just too loud. So we're going to film just like this, and we'll see how it turns out. So anyway, I'm not in the greatest shape, but don't worry about that. Today we're just going to reflect a little bit about wheelchairs. And I know that some of you are new using wheelchairs. Some of you are mid-range, and some of you are complete experts. So I will try to address everybody and some of you. So, you know, is it easy? Is it easy, using a wheelchair? Well, no. It's a responsibility. The wheelchair, depending if you have a manual or if you have a power wheelchair or if you have a scooter, even. Some people have scooters. Um, I decided not to have a scooter because it's a little bit harder to maneuver, and I live in a assisted living, and there's a lot of people around, so I really need something that is compact and that I can turn around in tight turns, through elevators or through chairs and tables and people. So I really try to do that. So my wheelchair is designed to do that. Uh, so, first of all, there are certain feelings in terms of using a wheelchair and possibly using a wheelchair for the first time. And there are a lot of emotions that go with that. Some people just, end up hating their wheelchair, and I certainly would not want that, because the wheelchair is just a tool. It's not going to change who you are, the funny person or the intellectual person or the always on time person. That's not going to change, the core of who you are. I know that sometimes getting a wheelchair or having to use a wheelchair, you can feel upset about it or embarrassed about it. And I would not want that for anyone. And I'll tell you why. The wheelchair is a tool, and it's going to help you get tasks done. It's going to help you go from point A to point B. It's going to help you in many different ways. So um, it's it's not going to take anything away from you. It's not. So it's it's going to add to your life, because if the doctor or um, the therapist, the OT therapist, or the physical therapist decides that, or wants to encourage you to start using a wheelchair, then that's something to listen to. Um, don't fight it. I know that when my physical therapist, I just met her, and in the first 2 minutes, she said, "We need to start looking at a wheelchair." My brain just like exploded. It's like, what? I don't even know you, and you're already suggesting a wheelchair? What is wrong with you? But I was calm about it. It's like, I just got to listen. So I had a hard time with it emotionally, and I'm sure a lot of you out there had, conflicting emotions. Some of you were born with your conditions, so you've been using a wheelchair all your life. I just started using a wheelchair in my adult life, so it was, prior to that, I was using a walker, but my balance sometimes would be really off, and I would just have to stop walking. But the wheelchair has helped me that even though I'm off balance, and not doing well, I can turn the speed down and still use my wheelchair to get around and do what I need to do. Um, you know, then we go to the other side of what are other people going to think? And guess what? It doesn't matter. So it really doesn't matter. This wheelchair is for you, it's for your benefit, and that's really critical for you to get that in your mind, that this is about you and to make your life a little bit easier in some ways. So there's a little bit of training that needs to go along with this. So if you feel like you need that training from your physical therapist or from OT, occupational therapist, then request it. But this is about you, not about them. You know, oh my gosh, what happened to you? Or you shouldn't be using that wheelchair. You should just keep on walking, because if you use a wheelchair, then you're going to stop walking. And then, there's all kinds of problems, and it's important to know that some people are in favor of wheelchairs and respect the use of wheelchairs, and other people don't understand wheelchairs and think that they're evil, they're bad for you. But there is a type, because I can walk a little bit, but there is a therapeutic sense of using a wheelchair. So this is different in the medical field as well. But the people who have balance issues, who can walk a little bit, but, struggle with other things, it's really important to understand there's a therapeutic piece of using a wheelchair in which it will expand your life a little bit more, and you can get from point A to point B. You can get things done in an easier way. So you can still walk, but the wheelchair is giving you more freedom. It's not taking away, it's giving you more freedom and more the ability to go outside, by yourself. You're not going to fall, you're in the wheelchair. Those are benefits. Those are absolutely benefits. And so it's really crucial for you not to react in a negative way, but to see all the positives. There are a few cons that we will look at, but the fact that you're going to be able to do your tasks better and you're not at risk of falling, that you're getting the support that your body needs, because you came down with an illness or you had an accident and you're going to be in that wheelchair for the rest of your life. However, you have wheels. Either you have 4 wheels or you have 6 wheels. Who has that? Nobody. And to know that, people in other countries, they don't have this. If they were born with a condition, or they had an accident, broke their back, or their spinal cord is being attacked by some kind of disease, they don't get a wheelchair. There's nowhere for them to request a wheelchair, and they end up with no wheelchair, and they end up bedridden for the rest of their lives. So, we have here in the United States and Europe, we can request a wheelchair and we get one weeks later or months later, but we get something. So it's really, really important for you to not see it as a negative in that sense. Now, what are the negatives? I'm not quite sure what the negatives are. Other than you have to deal with other people who have negative thoughts about wheelchairs, who don't understand wheelchairs, who have, it's really important for them to look it up, for them to understand that you don't have an option. You got to be in a wheelchair. You just had an accident, you broke your back, and your spinal cord is done in. So there is no option. You have to be in a wheelchair. Other times, like in my case, I have an illness, I have neurological issues, and I got to be in the wheelchair. I have to walk as much as I can, but not to overdo it. So, and people here that I'm living with, they get it, they understand. So there's no argument about it. They understand. So that's important. People will say, "Oh, I can't help you because," or "I'm not going to push your wheelchair." It's like, forget them. Make sure you surround yourself with people who understand, who are just accepting. You might have to reshift your friendships and your connections and your, you know, so don't try to hang around with the negative people. Hang around with people who understand you, who are going to support you, and you might have to make new friendships and connect with other family members who do understand and will respect the fact that you're in a wheelchair now. I haven't had any negatives, really. Sometimes people shy away because they're not sure how to help. So I let them know. It's like, "Oh, well, if we do this event, well, how will you get into the restaurant?" Well, check and see if there's a side door or whatever that is accessible. Sometimes they do. Or we can change restaurants and we can look for one that is accessible. Um, there also are, I've encouraged people sometimes that if you can't go visit friends because they all have stairs, that to see if they have a side door, and you can use a ramp. There are fold-up ramps that, so if it's a family member and she would really love to have you over for whatever, see if they have a side door that only has one step or two steps, and then you can get a ramp that doesn't cost too much from Amazon or whatever. And then all of a sudden the house is accessible and you can get in with that ramp and just hang out on the first floor with people. So where there's a will, there's a way. If they really want you around, they'll do anything. So truly, where there's a will, there's a way. I know my brother really wants me to hang out at his house. The only thing they've figured out is to use a ramp, but so they're struggling with that, I know, and so I'll just let them handle it. Let them handle it. My sister-in-law, she's very smart. I know she'll figure it out. So I'm not going to stress about it. So I'll just wait. I'll just wait and see what they come up with. Anyway, so that's that. But, it's important to not hang on to the negative, really. You have a tool, it's an important tool, it's a cool tool, and it's going to help you, and you're going to take care of the wheelchair. It's open doors for you. Just a few tiny doors might close, but otherwise everything is open for you. And more so, your freedom, get the other tools that you might need, like a reacher or a grabber, get the tools you need, and you can get them pretty cheap on Amazon, a grabber or whatever, wait for sales. But there, you should not see it as a limitation. Never see it as a limitation. There might be a few things you need to fix or a few things that you need to adjust, but otherwise, you've just gained some freedoms. And that's really important, to stay independent. And you need to think through what kind of things are going to help you to remain independent. For those in power wheelchairs, if you are looking into a power wheelchair or you're about to get one, make sure you get the ones that have elevating, feature so that you can, reach the higher counters and all that kind of stuff. I know that when the time comes for me to switch wheelchairs, I'm certainly going to get the one that has that elevating feature. And I also want, a headrest that will help support my head, because I have some dystonia and some neurological craziness in my neck. And towards the end of the day, I just have to let it down. But it's those little things that are, big. It might be little, but it's big for me. So don't try to, not see the wheelchair in a negative. It really is a new tool. It's your tool to get around. It's your tool that gives you freedom. And who cares the negative opinions of other people? You know, a lot of times when I'm in the grocery store, the clerks will come up and just say, "Is there anything I can help you with?" And I said, "No, right now I'm doing okay." I wish that would have happened in one of the grocery stores because I wanted some mayonnaise, a specific mayonnaise that was way up top. There was no way I was going to reach it, so I had to grab the mayonnaise that I could reach. But in bigger stores, usually I get clerks that'll come and ask me if I need anything. Take advantage of them. Yeah, sure. Could you reach? You get on a ladder and so yeah, of course. People are going to be out there and they're going to offer to help. Some people are going to come up to you and ask you, "How did you get that wheelchair? Who do I go to ask about a wheelchair? I have a loved one who needs one." So, you're also going to be an educator for other people in regards to disabilities and wheelchairs. So you just became smarter in an area that not everybody knows about. So that's a positive as well. So anyway, I wanted to make this video to help you kind of think through all the positives, because those positives are big ones. And the negative ones, you just have to, keep your wheels on the ground and know that it's more about them than it is about you. So the struggles are more theirs than yours. So, and you can try to educate them, see if they listen. If not, that's on them, not on you. So that's something really important to know. If somebody just can't figure this wheelchair thing out, and then that's fine. They will be open to it and maybe someday learn. So it's always good to have hope for that other person. Not for you. You're doing what you're supposed to do. You're following your doctor's instructions. You're taking care of yourself. And that's really important for you to remember, that this is about you taking care of yourself, listening to the doctors, and making sure you're safe, and making sure you maintain your independence and your freedom.